What would you think if I told you that the Vikings had GPS? Would you believe it? You have to. And not just that. There are technologies that were used by the ancient civilizations that were way ahead of their time. And most of those, how hard we try, we will never be able to bring it back to the modern world. In this video, we will be talking about that. So stay tuned and enjoy the video. The Antikythera mechanism. Antikythera is a Greek computer that was used to predict the astrological movement of the moon. It was also used to calculate the date and time of various games, such as the Olympics. The mechanism was found among the debris of a trading vessel in 1901, and the mechanism is believed to date back to about 100 BCE. It is the first example of a mechanical clock that uses scientific dials. The mechanism uses 30 gear wheels, and the complexity of this geared mechanism was not matched for another 1,000 years until the construction of medieval cathedral clocks. The drivetrain used to track the position of the moon is very complex. It uses epicyclical gearing as well as a slot and pin mechanism to reflect the variations of the moon's position across the sky. The Great Pyramids of Giza. The Great Pyramid is one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. It's one of 3 Great Pyramids built on a vast plain west of Cairo, around 4,500 BC. From Herodotus to modern times, people have speculated about how these pyramids were built. The Egyptians of the time had very few tools, and they didn't know how to use a wheel, they didn't have cranes, they had very little knowledge of astronomy, and they only had copper tools. It's safe to say that it was built with brute force. It's not just the sheer size of these pyramids that's amazing, it's the precision with which they were built. Each pyramid took about 20 years to complete, and the pyramids are oriented within 1/15th of a degree to north, south, east, and west. The Great Pyramid is the most aligned structure in the world and also the center of the Earth's landmass. The east-west parallel and north-south meridian intersect with the Great Pyramid perfectly. The mathematics behind the pyramid's construction is mind-boggling. The circumference of the granite coffers is proportional to the radius of the sun. The weight of the pyramids is proportional to the weight of the Earth. This seemingly implausible construction has caused many to suggest that the Egyptians had to have some kind of extraterrestrial technology to help them build their pyramids. The Baghdad Battery. Baghdad Battery, as it is now known, is a collection of 3 objects: a tube of copper, a rod of iron, and a ceramic pot. It was found in what is now known as the Ctesiphon region of modern-day Iraq. It is thought to date back to either the time of the Sasanian or the time of the Parthians of Persia, roughly between 150 BCE and 650 AD. The exact purpose of the Baghdad Battery is not known, but the most popular theory is that it was used as a battery for electroplating or as an electrotherapy device. The corrosion of the metal suggests that it may have been used to add an acid electrolyte solution to generate electricity. The most popular theory among scholars today is that it was simply a storage container for sacred scrolls. Even though they did not quite make it to the point of creating electricity, they were not far off. Archimedes' heat ray weapons. This is an invention that is in dispute whether Archimedes really invented the heat ray weapon, although there are ancient writings that mention this invention. During the siege of Syracuse, where Archimedes died, large metal mirrors made of copper or bronze were used to reflect the sun's rays onto enemy ships and set them on fire. One Greek scientist, Ioannis Sakkas, recreated these heat ray weapons and trained 70 copper-coated mirrors on a mock Roman warship from about 50 meters away and watched it burn to a cinder in a matter of seconds. The actual boats would have had tar on them, which would have helped in the combustion. Whether or not Archimedes actually created the heat ray weapon remains to be seen, but there is no denying his genius as a mathematician, physicist, engineer, and astronomer. Viking Compass. The Viking Compass, also called the runic compass or Vegvisir, is made of 8 Viking rune staves. It symbolizes protection and is thought to have been used by the Vikings as a compass with as much precision as today's GPS. Sunstones were used by the Vikings to navigate at sea, and it is thought that the Viking compass is a smaller version of them. The 8 Viking rune staves could be used to correspond to cardinal or intercardinal directions such as north, northeast, east, southeast, etc. When a nail is placed in the center of the Viking rune staves, its shadow will reveal the directions. Today, the Viking Compass acts as spiritual guidance for the Asatru faith and represents the culture of Iceland. The Lygus Cup. This remarkable artifact shows that our early ancestors were far more advanced in their time. In fact, they may have been the creators of what we know today as nanotechnology. This remarkable cup is the world's only remaining complete example of a porcelain cup. It is made from a type of glass known as dichroic. The color of the glass changes depending on the amount of light being shown through it. When the light hits the glass, it turns from an opaque green color to a brilliant, transparent red color. The glass is made up of tiny particles of gold and silver that give the porcelain cup its unique optical properties. How exactly this ancient nanotechnology was created is still a mystery, and hence, there is no way we can recreate it in the present world. Non-rusting iron pillar. There is an iron pillar in Delhi, India, that is over 1,000 years old, and it never rusts. It was only in 1913, when Harry Brearley invented stainless steel, that it was possible to prevent rust. But before that happened, this amazing non-rusting pillar was constructed during the reign of King Chandra. The iron pillar in Delhi is 7.2 meters high and has a diameter of 16 inches. It weighs more than 3,000 kilograms. It has ancient writings on it, which have been preserved because of the lack of rust. When scientists examined the pillar, they found that it had undergone a 3-phase process. This process created a thin protective layer over the pillar. The surface layer oxidized quickly, but the iron pillar underneath did not rust. Like so much ancient knowledge, this method of preventing iron rust was lost for centuries. Damascus Steel. The origin of Damascus steel swords can be traced back to the 9th century in what is now the Middle East. Damascus steel swords were known not only for their appearance, but also for their durability. They were many times more durable than the swords used in the Crusades because they were so much stronger and sharper. The name Damascus is derived from Arabic, which means water. Not only does Damascus steel refer to the city from which it was made, but it also refers to the flowing pattern it has on its surface. The pattern was created by a special forging process. Small ingots of what is now known as Wootz steel were brought in from India, Sri Lanka, or Iran and melted with charcoal. They were then cooled at a very slow rate. Damascus steel was in great demand for many centuries, but as swords became more and more uncommon in armed conflicts, the demand for it declined. By 1850, the secret of the forging process was no longer known, and the interest in Damascus steel seemed to have died out. The Haofeng Didong Yi. This first seismoscope in the world was created almost 2,000 years ago, and it was built in China, a nation that has been prone to quakes for centuries. This seismoscope was invented by Zhang Heng, who was a well-known astronomer, cartographer, mathematician, poet, painter, and an inventor who lived during the Han Dynasty. The design of this seismoscope is as practical as it is beautiful. The mechanism is composed of a large decorated copper pot, which is fitted with 8 tubed projections, each shaped like a dragon head. Under each dragon head is a large open copper toad. According to a 2009 study from Taiwan, this seismoscope is considered a milestone invention because it can not only detect an earthquake, but also the direction of its source. While primary sources differ on how the seismoscope worked, researchers believe that vibrations made a pendulum swing inside the pot, which in turn released a small ball through the dragon's head and into the toad's mouth, showing the direction of the earthquake. Greek fire. Greek fire is similar to flamethrowers, and the only difference is it burns on water rather than just burning people. The Greeks didn't invent Greek fire. It was invented by the Byzantines in the 7th century BCE and was imported from the Near East. It could be used on land as well as at sea to wreak havoc. The exact composition of the Greek fire is not known, but it is believed to contain naphtha along with quicklime. which ignited when it came into contact with water. Greek fire could be sprayed under pressure to blow flames at enemy ships. Unbelievably, the sailors were unable to extinguish the flames because water didn't do much good. Later, Greek fire was used on land to attack fortifications and as a defense weapon. Before we wrap up, if you would like to know about the ancient practices we would rather forget, click on this video. Thank you for watching the video, and if you like this video, please press the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.